So welcome. Looks like everybody's, or more people are going to be on virtually watching the class. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people here. So I thank you for showing up because you'll make the class more interesting than just me talking to myself, right? But here's the video. So you just received this sheet. This sheet you will have this for when you take the test. Some of this is what we're working with today is conversions, units, and the metric system. So there's that. There's another portion of this that has formulas for geometry because that's another unit we do a little bit later, maybe next week. I can't remember, but this will be yours. The same sheet is going to be on the test. So we'll see how we use it. And what we're going to do is we'll work through some of the practice problems that are in MAT081. So this is available in Unit 9 in MAT081. So we're going to work through some of them. But first of all, I'm just going to start off and show you the really simple concept that gets used in making conversions. Okay, so I'm going to shrink this down for now. Let's go with yellow. So, can you tell me what is 5 divided by 5? 1.
5 divided by 5 is 1.
Good. How about what's 27 divided by 27? What's horse divided by horse? A pony? Well, if we follow this mathematically, it would also be 1. Anything divided by itself, and don't take a horse and divide it by itself. I don't know what that would look like. It doesn't sound very humane, so let's not do it. But if in mathematics, anything divided by itself is 1. There's one exception, and that's when we have 0 divided by 0. But we won't talk about it because they really don't define what that is. So for this lesson, you just need to remember anything divided by itself equals 1. Everyone thought we locked them out.
I didn't think it was you. I thought it was someone else. I was standing outside.
I shaved a bit, huh? My goatee instead of my full beard. Okay. I'm in disguise. The Witness Protection Program. Something like that. Okay. So the first concept is anything divided by itself is 1. Did I get you? Oh. Sure. Second concept we need to know is this really, now I need you to really pay attention. This is a really complicated concept, but if you got it, you'll be great with conversions. Okay, so please everyone pay attention. Maybe bust out the calculators because this is going to be a hard calculation to do, but I'm sure you all can do it. What is 3 times 1?
3.
You sure about that? Okay. It's going to get a little harder, so I really need full concentration on this. What is 13 times 1?
13.
Sure? Yes. Okay, good. Seeming complicated? But what about something like 726 times 1?
726.
Okay. So we've got, oops. See, I tell you I could mess it up. 700 is transpose the numbers. So we'll get it right this time. 726. So to be able to do conversions, we have 2 concepts. Anything divided by itself is equal to 1, and anything that we multiply times 1 does not change its value. Okay, we didn't need our calculators for that one. Conversion sheets. Could you bring one back for Tennille as well? Over there. Thank you. And that's what these, oh, she's got one for you. I sent a messenger. Okay, so if you've got these two concepts, anything divided by itself is 1, and anything multiplied times 1 does not change. Okay, we're going to use this to convert units. Okay, so let me just give you a few examples. Where it all starts off at is when we measure something, we can do it in different units, right? I could measure this desk up front. I could measure it in inches, or I could measure it in feet, right? What if I were to measure it in feet, and let me just see. Let's say it's 5 feet. That's pretty close. Okay, so the desk is 5 feet. But when I look in the catalog to order a similar sized desk, they're all in inches. So I got to convert my feet to inches. So how do I do that? First thing I need to know is how many feet, what's the relationship between feet and inches? Is there some, because the desk is, will you agree that the desk is not going to change size depending, I'll measure it with different units, but it's going to be the same size desk. So first of all, we want to figure out what's the relationship between feet and inches. How many feet are there in how many inches? We need to know this fact. And you might even have that on your sheet.
12 times 5.
Okay, you're going a little too fast, but how, if I had 1 foot, how many inches would we have?
12.
Okay, so that's the fact that's on your sheet, isn't it? I think.
12 times 5.
Well, be careful. We want to. So some of you will just see, okay, yeah, that's what. But let's do this. So since these are equal, 1 foot is actually the same thing as 12 inches. Do you agree with that? 1 foot is the same thing as 12 inches. So if I take 1 foot and I divide it by 12 inches, what is that going to be equal to?
60 inch.
1. Good.
1.
So yeah, slow down here, because I know some of you already say 12 times 5 is 60, and you got your answer. But I want to show, as we do this, we're going to see how we get this answer, and that's going to help us with all the conversions we do today. Okay, so we find where the measurements equal. We have to look that up somewhere. It could be Google or it could be on our sheet. 1 foot equals 12 inches. We get one ratio, but it's also going to be equal to 12 inches over 1 foot, because this is also 1, is it not? They're both the same thing. Now 12 inches looks different than 1 foot when you write it, but they are physically the same amount, are they not? So it's kind of like this horse divided by horse. It doesn't make much sense mathematically, but it's just this concept that anything divided by itself is 1. So 1 foot divided by 12 inches is 1. 12 inches divided by 1 foot is 1. So these are all different ways to write 1. So if I take 5 feet times 1, what am I going to get? 5 feet, right? So I haven't changed it. So, but the version of 1 that I want to use is one of these two. Okay, which one of these two ratios? And this is every problem we're going to do will have 2 ratios. Your goal to get the right answer is going to be to choose the right ratio. Do I want 1 foot over 12 inches, or do I want 12 inches over 1 foot?
12 inches over 1 foot.
Why?
Because you always want, I don't know, it just looks right.
Very good, because you knew you were going to take 5 times 12, which is what ends up happening. We want to get rid of the feet, so we have to sort of divide it out. What's that F-E? I don't know. Feet. So we want the feet to sort of divide themselves out. And remember, anything divided by itself is 1. So feet divided by feet is 1. Okay. So what ends up happening, again, with this one problem, we've really got the whole unit down. We'll do a few more examples, but we'll see this is exactly what we're going to do. Feet are going to cancel with feet. And I think of this as 5 feet over 1, because every fraction, right? How do I do fractions? Straight across. 5 times 12, 60. The units that are left behind are inches. Wow, beautiful. 60 inches. You were right, though. In conversions, once we know the fact, generally we'll either multiply or we'll divide. Okay, if I had inches and I wanted to know how many feet, I would have been dividing, because then I would have been using this one here. Okay, so if I knew the desk was, say, we'll have a new desk. Let's do the width or something. Let's say it was 36 inches. How would I figure out how many feet it is? Divide, or what? How do I set up my conversion ratio? How do I know I'm going to divide? Because I'm going to choose one of these, and which one am I going to choose? The 1 foot over 12 inches, because I want to get rid of the inches. I want the inches to divide out, so the inches now has to be in the bottom. 1 foot is in the top. So inches are going to cancel the inches. I get 36 times 1, which is 36. I get feet. In the bottom, I get 1 times 12. And now take 36 divided by 12.
36 divided by 12 is 3.
Should be 3 if I did my math right. I was trying to make it come out even. Now sometimes we're going to get decimals. That's okay. But notice how just having one fact, that 1 foot equals 12 inches, we can convert either from feet to inches or inches to feet. Yes?
When do we divide and when do we multiply?
Good.
Because the first one we multiply.
Right. So this is where we're going to get the two conversions. And if you look at, don't think about multiplying or dividing, just think about which ratio we need to use. So we need to use the ratio with the feet in the bottom, and then once we set up the problem, it tells us, oh, that's the multiply problem. Okay. If we are going from inches, okay, we need to have inches in the bottom. We set up the ratio, and now it just tells us we have to divide. If you try to remember, now some of you might be good at remembering, and you might just say, okay, I just remember this one I have to multiply, this one I have to divide. But the thing is we'll get to units that are not real familiar to you. This works for converting money as well. It works for converting anything that has basically some place where they have the same value. So if you follow this, though, this works for every single type of conversion you need to do. Okay? So, and it's based on anything divided by itself. The same over the same is 1. We're going to multiply by 1, so it doesn't actually change anything. The numbers will change, but the actual amount that it contains is actually the same thing. 36 inches is exactly the same thing as 3 feet. The measurement, the length did not change. Okay. How's that? That's all you need to know. I'm gone. No, we're going to do a few examples where some of the problems. And I'm going to show you, if you'll take the time, this is the thing. Some people will go for the shortcut and they just want to try to figure out whether they need to multiply or divide. And sometimes they'll be able to do it, but then they'll get to the harder problems, and that's where you really need this concept. And if you're like me, sometimes I would divide when I was supposed to multiply, or multiply when I was supposed to divide. Sometimes you get an answer, you go, wait, that doesn't seem right. And then you just try the other one, and then you're going to be right. But this gives you a way to set it up and always be correct. And if you'll train yourself using this method, eventually you'll let this method go and you'll be fine. You'll be physically, you'll be able to just look at it and know whether you multiply or divide. Okay? But until you get to that state, use this, and that you'll be training your concentration and your ability to see, when do I multiply, when do I divide. There are a few times where you actually end up doing both, because really complicated ones, but you can do it. How many of you have to take chemistry, or are taking chemistry?
I will have to take chemistry.
You will have to. You use this all the time in chemistry. Sometimes in physics too, either unit conversions or in reactions, you'll be using the same concept in chemistry quite often. Okay, so I'm going to take a picture of this. Let's see, where did it go? There it is. 081, page 1. So this this picture will be in with the video. It's being live streamed right now, but so it'll be available, and I'll send you all a message so you can come back and review this. Okay, so then I'm going to, let's get a new sheet, and let's look at some of the practice problems. Here we go. Let's go. So the unit itself, if you look at the mini lessons and stuff, they do a lot of things about how to measure. I'm kind of skipping over that. If you want to, there's some reading you can do and how to measure things and everything. The meat of it is this worksheet of how to convert. So I'm going to sort of make the assumption that you kind of know what to use. Like if we're going to weigh a dog, what units would you usually use? Would you want inches for the weight of a dog? No. What would you want? Probably pounds. Or if you're in Europe, kilograms. But so that's, I'm not, okay. We'll just start here. So we've got a car that's 16 feet, 3 inches long. How long is this in meters? So what do we need to know? Well, first of all, this is in 2 different units, feet and inches. So what we're going to probably want to do is convert it to just feet or just inches. Okay, so that's one thing we're going to want to do. And then we're going to want to convert from either inches to meters or feet to meters. So maybe what we could do is take a look at our conversion sheet. And let's see. Got this one. Okay, some common metric conversions. For length, we've got inches to centimeters. We've got meters to yards. Oh shoot, we don't have anything that goes feet to meters. Or we do have inches to centimeters. And then we could talk about how to get from centimeters to meters. Okay, we're kind of throwing this all together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do this one. But we're going to take this little fact here. We're jumping into the deep end, if it were. So 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. Okay, 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. So remember that, or you can keep looking at it. I'm going to go back to the other sheet. Okay, so the fact that we need to use 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to take this measurement, convert it all into inches, and then we'll convert from inches to centimeters, and then we'll convert from centimeters to meters. And once we do this one, we'll have the ability really to do all the different types of conversions we might need. Okay, so if I've got 16 feet 3 inches, can I add 16 feet and 3 inches together? No, they're not the same thing. I can't take 16 plus 3 and get 19 feet or 19 inches. So I've got to convert feet to inches. And how did we do that last time? We divided because there are, or wait, 12 inches in 1 foot, or there's 1 foot in 12 inches. So we're going to use one of these two conversions. Which one do we use?
12 inches over 1 foot.
Okay, so the feet have to be in the bottom because we want to divide it out. So let me do this. Let me just make this a little clearer. Let me get rid of the 3 inches. All we're going to convert is the 16 feet. So we're going to take the 16 feet, 16, not 12. Anyone else do that? You're thinking something and you write something else. 16 feet. So we're going to multiply by 1 foot in the bottom and 12 inches in the top. The feet are going to cancel, and see, now the lineup tells us that we take 16 times 12. Would someone be able to do that for us?
Times 12.
Yeah. Guess I could do it here.
322.
16 times 12. 192.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that's 192 inches. What about this 3 inches? Can we add it together to the 192 inches now? Certainly. So we have 195 inches. Okay. But that's not what we want. We don't want to know how many inches it is. We want to know how many meters it is. And again, the only fact we have, to get it into the metric system, we can get it into centimeters. So how are we going to change 195 inches into centimeters? Well, let's think of the process. What are the two ratios we get? We get 1 inch over 2.54 centimeters, which is the same thing as 2.54 centimeters over 1 inch. I'm going to cross out this problem for now. We'll come back just to have more room. So if we've got 195 inches, over 1, what do we want to divide out? Which unit do we want to get rid of? Inches, good. So the inches have to be in the bottom because they have to be across from each other to cancel out. So which one of these? So we must need to use this one. 2.54 centimeters over 1 inch. Notice this is going to be a multiplication problem. But you're kind of validating what I said is, if you're like me, it's sort of our intuitive feel is to do the wrong thing. We want it to divide when actually we need to multiply. Okay? And this system, find where they're equal, write the two ratios, and then use the one that divides out the units we want to get rid of. So inches will cancel with inches, and what will be left behind is centimeters. So now we take our 195 and we multiply times 2.54. 495.3. And that's centimeters. But the question wants to know how many meters. But I'm going to show you once we get into the metric system, we don't need to use this method. We're going to use something a little different. Okay, so we're going to come back to this. We actually don't even need a calculator anymore to convert metric with. So once we're in the metric system, I'm going to show you how easy it is to convert. I'm going to come over to here. So notice it's 4.95.3 centimeters. I need to bring this little thing down. So when we have centimeters, we come back to the base unit, which is meters. Okay, and so how many spaces do we need to move to go from centimeters to meters? 1, 2. And we went which direction? 1 to the left. What we need to do to convert from centimeters to meters is move the decimal 2 places to the left. So this chart just tells you once you're in within metric, you're just moving the decimal places, and this chart will tell you whether you move it left or right and how many. 1, 2. Okay, so let's go back to our question. What we do is we take this decimal, move it 1, 2 places, and we end up with 4.953. And we've gone from centimeters to what? Meters. Just like that. So if we've got a conversion factor that gets us into meters, changing within the metric system is very easy. It's a matter of just moving the decimal place. And you'll do that in chemistry as well. That's why they do scientific notation. It's just moving the decimal place. But isn't moving the decimal place a nice? And actually, when you move it to the left, you're dividing. When you move it to the right, you're multiplying. So you're really doing the same thing. It's just because it's a base 10 system, metric system, it's a lot easier to convert. How was that? A little too much? Did I blind you with science? Okay. Should take the simpler ones first, huh? Well, okay. Let's see. Okay, let's take a picture. Okay. Let's go back. This one might be a little, what's that? Fred, what's that? I don't know. Okay, how many seconds are in 768 days? So we've got 768 days. We want to go from days to seconds.
There's seconds, 60.
So there are 60 seconds in how much time? 1 minute. There are 60 minutes in 1 hour. And what else do we need to know?
24 hours in a day.
There we go. 24 hours in 1 day. And we're going to use the same process, setting up the ratio, because remember, when we take these ratios, we're getting something equal to 1. When we multiply, we're multiplying by 1. That doesn't change it. So the first conversion factor to try to get rid of days is, let's start up here. So how do we want this ratio? Do you want the 24 hours in top or the 1 day in the top? Well, we want to get rid of the days, right? We want to divide out the days. So the days have to be in the bottom.
24 hours.
Good. So 1 day goes in the bottom, which forces 24 hours to go in the top. And we're not going to do the multiplication yet, but what we're going to do is we're going to see this canceling that's happening is the day cancels with days. Okay. But we don't want to stop at hours, we want seconds. So what's the fact that we know that has hours related to something else? 1 hour, 60 minutes. So what do we want in the bottom? Hours. So 1 hour and 60 minutes goes in the top. And again, we get a canceling of units. The hours are going to cancel. And so if we finished here doing the math, we'd be left with minutes. But again, we want seconds. So there's one more conversion that needs to be done. We need to go from minutes to seconds. So we use this fact. And again, we want to divide out the minutes. So the minutes have to go in the bottom. 1 minute and 60 seconds goes in the top. And again, we just follow through what's happening. The minutes are going to cancel. So the final answer will be in the units of seconds, because that's all that's left as far as units. And it tells us what we do. Notice all ones in the bottom. We take 768 times 24 times 60 times 60. Okay, 768. And how many years is that? About 2, right? 365 days in a year, so that's almost 2 years, roughly, just an estimate, times 60 times 60. Whoa, that's a lot of seconds. 66 million. So don't waste your seconds. You only got 66 million of them in the next year. Okay, so I didn't get 66, 355, 200. Is that what you got? Okay. Sometimes I entered the numbers wrong, but okay. But if you'll approach unit conversions this way, you'll always be just fine. Okay. Let's do this. Since I told you I'd get your test back to you in about half an hour, what I'd like you to do is you can pull up this worksheet in MAT081. Let me show you where I got it from. Okay, where did I get it? MAT081. Doing. Oh. So go into our course. Notice the last units we have, we've got 9, 10, 11, just 3 more units. There's this review down here. So next week we'll do basically geometry, perimeter and area, and then this is also geometry. So there's 2 units of geometry that we have after this. Where I got this from, it's not the media practice, it's the practice problems. So if you want to pull this up, you can work a few of the problems, and or if you want to go into the online homework, that's fine. If you want to start watching the video lessons, that would be fine too. Just I let you know that the media lessons, they have like almost an hour of how to do measurement type stuff in there too, which is good. but it takes a little while before you actually get to what we're trying to do here. Okay, so maybe try a few of the practice problems. I'll get your exams. I'll pass them back. You can take a look at them for as long as you need. Get them back to me, and then I can answer any other questions you might have about these practice problems. But try setting up at least those ratios of the conversion factors. Okay, and I'll just show you. If you go into the media lesson itself, it's a lot of reading, you know, about how to measure things, and some things worked in there. There's videos on these things, but I'm going to show you. If you get about halfway through here, they give you these conversion things. I'm just going to show you got all this stuff. We're going. I'm going to show you basically where I started. So this is all your background information. This is where we started today. What are we, like on page, I lost track, but we're like 10 pages into this thing, right? So it starts talking about this multiplying by 1. It will show you the setup, canceling out the feet. So I didn't invent this. It's not that I'm some brilliant guy who came up with this. I just read the book. So it's in here, but it takes you a number of pages to get there. But it's kind of the main thing of what we're doing with conversions. Okay. And they give you some examples in here and some problems. So you're welcome to work through some of these as well. But in units, when we're working with units, we've got to be able to go back and forth between them. And this one thing here is the method that I'm going to focus on. Ties in directly with what we were doing with sort of proportions and percentages last time.
Are you going to be able to use this on the test?
Yes, it will be included with the test. You can hang on to that as your personal conversion sheet as well, and it'll be helpful.
And can I print out this lesson 9 or practice problem?
Yeah, so we do have the printer there. Just remember, whenever you print, it's in your account, it's 10 cents a copy, but you've got $25 worth of printing if you haven't used it up already. But everyone has $25 by being registered, okay, to use anywhere on campus. But once you use it up, then you got to put more money in. But yes, and so you can print to this printer. So I'm going to go back. I'll get the exams and
just this section, or
yeah, you can. In fact, that's what I did. Is I'm not sure where I found that, but I found that. I think I found that with the test, and I just printed that page. So you could just print particular pages. So you pull this up, and then like if I wanted to, I think I can print right from here. It's printed. Let's see, where's print? Doesn't have print. Here it is. So usually what I do is I open and preview on mine, and then it opens the PDF. But you can also, does it say print somewhere? Or somebody's printing.
I am.
Okay. Yeah. So I open it up and preview it. Yeah, it's 23 pages. But if you want to print like this page, go to the printer icon thing and just tell it, where it should hopefully open up there. You just tell it, yeah, maybe either current page, or let's just print page 5 to 6. You can tell it a range of pages. So figure out which ones you want and just print them. Don't print the whole thing, because you don't, unless you need the whole thing. Okay. So print what you need, and then I'm not connected. This is my computer, but if I was, you guys are connected to this network, so you'll see that printer coming up.
And that's the media lesson unit, right?
Right. This is the media lesson, which kind of contains all the lesson that I've kind of gone through. So, and sometimes it's good to just kind of read through it and then, you know, get a little bit deeper. My video will be in Canvas, so you can go back to it.
So when I see it says, is it possible I can leave early because I have to do something really important for English class?
Sure.
Can you give me your YouTube page name again?
Open Global Village, all one word,
Okay.
all run together.
Yeah, did I get my